Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Aya Kuberberg, Vice President, Investor Relations and Corporate Communications for Progressive Waste Solutions. And thank you for coming today to those of you in the room and to those of you joining in via our live video feed. Welcome as well. We are so pleased to announce our investment in TerraCycle Canada and to tell you more about what this recycling partnership means for all Canadians. I'll start with a few introductions and then I'll move on to the order of our event today. So with us in the room, we have several members of the Progressive Waste Solutions and the TerraCycle teams. Speaking today will be Joe Quarin, President and Chief Executive Officer of Progressive Waste Solutions, and Tom Szaky, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of TerraCycle. Joe Quarin has been with Progressive Waste Solutions since the company's founding in 2000, and the company back then was known as BFI Canada. The company has grown from a regional Canadian operator with revenues of just around $150 million to a North American company with over $2 billion today in revenues. We provide non-hazardous, solid waste collection, recycling, and disposal services to commercial, industrial, municipal, and residential customers in 6 Canadian provinces and 13 states and the District of Columbia in the US. Prior to Joe's appointment as CEO in 2012, he was President and Chief Operating Officer of the company, and in 2004, he was recognized as one of Canada's top 40 under 40. Prior to joining Progressive, Joe worked in the world of private equity here in Toronto, and he's now a recognized leader in the North American waste and recycling industry, residing on the Board of Trustees of the National Waste and Recycling Association and contributing to other notable industry organizations. Tom Szaky is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of TerraCycle, a company that enables consumers to collect non-recyclable waste, from used juice pouches to used cigarettes. The collected material is then reused, upcycled, or recycled into thousands of various products and materials, and TerraCycle has won over 200 environmental and social awards for its work. In 2003, as a sophomore, Tom dropped out of Princeton University to start TerraCycle, building a company that has grown in size every year since its inception. Today, TerraCycle, through partnerships with virtually all major CPG companies, ranging from L'Oreal to Kimberly-Clark to Kraft Foods, operates in over 24 countries, has over 50 million people engaged in its waste collection programs, has collected over 2 billion pieces of non-recyclable waste, and in the process donated over $8 million to charities that help collect that waste. I'll now turn to the order of our event today. We're going to start with some comments from Joe Quarin, who will provide an overview of the strategic value of this partnership to Progressive Waste Solutions. And then Tom Szaky will speak to the opportunities that the partnership creates for TerraCycle. Following Tom's remarks, we'll take any of your questions, and then we'll have a photo opportunity with Joe and Tom. We do have a media kit with all of our news and the details of the relationship. And for those of you listening online, please contact us via the information provided in the media advisory, and we can send you any of the materials and also schedule any interview requests. So with that, I'll turn the podium over to Joe.
Thanks, Aya, and good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Joe Quarin, President and CEO of Progressive Waste Solutions, and we are the largest provider of waste and recycling services in Canada, where we first started our business, as Aya mentioned, as BFI Canada back in 2000. We are also the 3rd largest solid waste collection company, non-hazardous, in North America. We're very excited to announce the partnership with and investment in TerraCycle Canada, which marks a leap forward in the options that Canadians now have for recycling in their homes, businesses, and cities. Canadians are increasingly recognizing that waste is a resource and are looking for innovative solutions for the waste stream. We've responded to this need by investing significant capital each year in innovations that allow our trucks to collect increasing amounts of recycled materials from homes and businesses. We've also invested in facilities to sort and process the materials for reuse. Throughout this country, we employ over 3,000 people and operate 1,500 vehicles every day. We have 42 collection operations, 25 transfer stations, and 22 recycling facilities, and help millions of Canadians with their waste and recycling responsibilities. We operate on a large scale, collecting and processing millions of tons of materials such as paper, cardboard, metals, and plastic every single year. There's a lot of value in these resources which we are recovering from the waste stream, and there's a ready market available to recycle them. But there are vast materials that are much harder to recycle. Items such as pens, potato chip bags, candy wrappers, cigarette butts, coffee capsules, drink pouches, and the list goes on. These materials, which actually constitute a greater share of the residential waste that currently goes to recycling, have traditionally gone to landfills. These materials are TerraCycle's specialty. TerraCycle has developed strong relationships with corporate brands such as Maple Leaf Foods, Christie's, Nespresso, and Garnier to recycle the packaging of goods that you typically can only throw away. TerraCycle converts these materials into useful items such as park benches and playground equipment. For the City of Vancouver, TerraCycle just launched the world's first cigarette butt collection program to convert this highly littered waste item into another resource. Watching TerraCycle grow over the past several years, we've been enormously impressed. CEO and founder Tom Szaky and the TerraCycle team have demonstrated incredible environmental thought leadership and, most importantly, the ability to engage millions of consumers in recycling otherwise non-recyclable waste streams. With more than 2.1 million collectors across this country alone, TerraCycle's programs are clearly connecting with a lot of Canadians. Through our acquisition of a 19.9% interest in TerraCycle Canada, now known as a Progressive Waste Solutions partner, we can broaden the reach of these innovative recycling options, making them available to our broad base of consumers. With our robust national footprint, we can bring TerraCycle's specialty recycling programs to a greater number of Canadians and help more homes, businesses, and municipalities achieve their diversion and environmental sustainability goals. Together, our network of recycling collection, transfer, and recovery facilities and TerraCycle's brand relationships and specialty recycling services, we can make the option of a zero waste a reality for Canadians. The recycling of otherwise non-recyclable waste streams is not available from other waste management companies, and we are very proud to be the first to offer TerraCycle's innovative solutions. Our customers will be able to divert more valuable resources from their waste stream. We also recognize that extended producer responsibility is starting to come to Canada, and that manufacturers need solutions to meet their new legal obligation to recycle the printed paper and packaging that they produce. TerraCycle has demonstrated how brand owners can voluntarily meet these requirements. And the TerraCycle model is an exciting part of a broader solution we envision that could offer producers alternatives and choice on a much broader, meaningful, and efficient scale. For Progressive Waste Solutions, our partnership with TerraCycle is a natural extension of our commitment to creating a more sustainable future. Across Canada, we are helping cities rethink their waste collection. For hundreds of thousands of households, we have introduced the collection of recyclable materials and organic kitchen and yard waste. Wherever possible, we've made recycling and composting possible for our customers to conserve precious resources. Through our network of recycling collection services and recovery facilities, we work hard to help our customers reduce waste generation and increase recovery rates. We are also proud of our achievements in reducing our carbon footprint. For example, we operate Canada's largest waste collection fleet powered by compressed natural gas, or CNG. We are in the process of converting many of our trucks to CNG this year, and the benefits to the environment are impressive, as these trucks generate significantly lower greenhouse gas emissions compared to diesel-fueled vehicles. This year, over half the trucks that we buy will be CNG powered. And by the end of 2014, we will have over 400 CNG trucks on the road, representing about 10% of our North American fleet on the road serving our communities. Last year, we were also recognized for our leadership in the quality of climate change data by the CDP, the world's only global environmental disclosure system. We achieved a score within the top 10% of companies sampled in the CDP's Canada 200 Climate Disclosure Leadership Index. As one of Canada's most progressive environmental services companies, we are very proud to announce our partnership with TerraCycle, widely recognized as one of the most exciting and innovative recycling companies in the world today. Our partnership will vastly increase recycling opportunities for Canadian governments, corporations, schools, nonprofits, and residents for many years to come. And I'll ask Tom to say a few words before the two of us will take any questions you might have. Tom?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and thank you for the folks on the internet watching. This is a really important landmark for TerraCycle. As a little bit of background, we started TerraCycle 10 years ago as a concept to think about how we can look at waste differently. I mean, if you take a step back for a moment and just look at the very concept of garbage and waste, it's a very modern idea. It came about because basically we as human beings now make our objects from increasingly complex materials that nature doesn't know what to do with, and we consume phenomenal amounts of these materials, which drives our economy. Now, at the end of the day, this results in a lot of material in the waste stream. Now, some part of these materials can and are recycled at great rates, things like glass, aluminum, PET bottles, HDPE, and uncoated papers. But the key question that we've been grappling with over the past 10 years is how do you recycle everything else? And it really comes down to innovative ways of collection, because if you think about it, even if you have an object in your hand that is recyclable, but there is no recycling opportunity, it will end up not being recycled. So the first aspect of any way to make non-recyclables recyclable is to create unique ways of collection. We do this now in 26 countries around the world. One primary example here in Canada is you can go to our website at terracycle.ca, and through the generous funding of many major consumer product companies, from Mr. Christie's to Kool-Aid and many companies in between, we offer free services where you can collect that waste of any brand, send it to us by downloading free shipping from our website, and in many cases you also receive a small donation for every piece of garbage you collected to a school or charity of your choice. From there, what we're really excited about as we look at partnering and really extending the partnership with Progressive Waste is that we now have the ability, uniquely here in Canada, to do much, much more than that type of service. We're now able to launch programs where residents can collect non-recyclable waste directly through their local hauling system, like we've done now with Progressive Waste in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, where residents can simply put non-recyclable waste out on the curb to be collected and then later recycled by TerraCycle. This is everything from used cigarette butts to coffee capsules and frankly everything in between. And this doesn't just stop there. Really, through this unique partnership, we're now able to extend even further. For example, recently having deployed roadside collection bins for used cigarette waste in the city of Vancouver, where now we can recycle cigarette butts directly at a city level. And seeing this type of partnership then expand to other cities is our key goal. And I think what you're going to see through the work that TerraCycle and Progressive do together is an ever-increasing range of opportunities brought to the Canadian public to be able to recycle things that you never perceived were recyclable before. Now, that's the first step on any sort of unique recycling infrastructure, is to create collection systems, and that is something we're incredibly excited about in what we're going to be able to do together between TerraCycle and Progressive Waste. The second aspect then is, of course, to recycle non-recyclable waste, it needs to somehow be processed and made into new materials. TerraCycle believes fundamentally in the idea that materials are valuable, and that they shouldn't be destroyed. In fact, that they should be circulated throughout our system constantly, sort of frankly how nature does it, and how we do it today with things like aluminum cans and glass at great percentages here in Canada. But why can't we circulate the material that make up dirty diapers? Why can't we circulate the material that make up a used pen and many other non-recyclable waste streams? And again, through the partnership between TerraCycle and Progressive Waste, what we're going to be able to do now is bring even more sophisticated solutions, because we can combine the amazing operational infrastructure of Progressive Waste with the unique innovation and R&D teams that TerraCycle has. And it's one of these great things where I really feel that bringing the two companies together is not going to just create a 1 + 1 = 2, but really a 1 + 1 = 3, where we really bring a significant value to the Canadian consumer. And then finally, the other really important aspect in all of this is to make sure that the Canadian public know that these services exist and decide to use them. Because what you're going to see between TerraCycle and Progressive Waste now, and especially into the coming years, is a complete reimagining of what could happen with waste. Instead of looking at waste as something that we want to just get rid of and be as far away from as possible, maybe we can start shifting our perspective to the way nature views waste, which is something of tremendous value. And instead of looking at waste as a way to get rid of a liability or get rid of an issue, why not look at waste as these valuable raw materials that are accumulating in our homes and see what we can then do with them from there? And for TerraCycle, what's really exciting about this partnership is that through all these unique operational ideas that we're going to be developing, some that we've launched already with Progressive Waste and many new ones that will be coming out soon, is that because we're a global platform, all the innovation that's going to be coming out of this partnership in Canada will be able to help many people around the world, from countries like Australia to Japan to Europe, where we're going to be able to extend these innovations into other markets. So what's fantastic is that immediately now the Canadian public is going to be able to access significantly more solutions to waste streams that they never had solutions on before. And in fact, this will become a starting point to create ideally a global movement where this is extended, in fact, all around the world. So we're incredibly excited and honored and really appreciate the support that Joe, you and your team have extended to us here at Progressive Waste. And we really look forward to revolutionizing the way people perceive garbage. And hopefully we can have another press conference like this in a few years from now, when we're in a world where really everything has an option to be recycled. The only question is, how do we get more and more Canadians to use that service? So with that, thank you, and would love to take any questions that may be here in the room or from the internet as well. Please.
Question for yourself,
yes.
Tom. I've always seen TerraCycle as kind of making the best of a bad situation.
Absolutely.
That being said, should these products exist in the first place? And what's TerraCycle's role in lobbying for changing and the way packaging is designed? I mean, because you're kind of dealing with a problem after the fact. Do you believe in a regulatory push to change the fact that these things exist?
I think it's an excellent question. It really is the big white elephant in the room. So I think I'll answer this in two ways, because at the end of the day, the reason that we live in a world where waste exists in this volume that it does today, and the billions and billions of tons that are produced globally, is because human beings simply consume a huge amount of materials. And these materials are ever complicated materials because they have needs, so that food lasts longer or that certain products can be delivered to us. But if you look at the statistics, in the past 100 years, an average human being consumes 10 times more. So today we consume 10 times more weight of material than we did at the turn of the century. And then you multiply that with the fact that our population has basically increased by about the same factor. The human species consumes 100 times more than it ever did before. So the first and most important thing, I think, is for consumers to realize how powerful they are in this entire equation. We consumers as individuals are not sheep that are susceptible to just marketing and have to buy everything. We are the ones who go out there and buy objects. And by buying objects, we are voting for more of that object to exist. And I think this is really important for consumers to reflect on that, because they control the entire equation. If you'd like more of a product to exist, go buy it. And in fact, if you'd like less of a product to exist, don't buy it. And that is the fundamental answer that I think all consumers should realize, because it's in our hands as individuals to solve the question. Now, that then gets to, well, today, we have a reality where there are 4.5 trillion cigarettes littered every year, or billions of pieces of packaging ending up in landfills and other linear solutions because they're not recyclable. So I think one of the things that TerraCycle tries to constantly tell our partners is that the best answer is for you to innovate away from even needing a company like TerraCycle to help you with your waste. The answer there would be, instead of packaging in flexible packaging, packaging in rigid aluminum, for example. Or the joke I always like to say, it's a little bit of a hyperbole, is that if every packaging company made their products out of solid gold, there would not be a garbage problem at all. In fact, I think that everyone would be in the waste management business looking to pick up everything off the ground. Now that's a hyperbole, but it all comes down to the value in these materials. Now, if we step back and look at why are things recyclable and not recyclable, it simply comes down to an equation. The cost of recycling is the cost of collecting that material and processing that material, and the things that are recyclable are the ones where that cost is less than the value of the recovered material, aluminum cans being a great example. But everything else falls into the negative, where it in fact costs more to collect and process than the material is worth. And what we find our role, and especially now strengthened here in Canada through the partnership with Progressive, is that we can go to different constituents, whether they're brands who voluntarily fund these programs in a form of what I would call voluntary EPR, is what the TerraCycle system could be coined as, but also potentially governments, like the work we've done now in the city of Vancouver, or individuals funding the solution, like the work we're now doing with Progressive Waste in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, all the way to even factories thinking about finding solutions to their factory-based waste, which we're doing with quite a large number of factories now together with Progressive Waste here in Canada. So it's a blend of these two factors. I think consumers need to rethink what they vote for, because that is really what we're then in the business of solving for. I think consumer product companies, when we constantly push them, should try to innovate from ever even needing these systems to begin with. And then the third is that while the challenge exists, and I imagine it will for quite a while, it's how do we create partnerships in the industry, like TerraCycle and Progressive Waste, to bring unique ways that consumers can easily recycle things that they couldn't recycle before. And to your question, I think that bringing, having EPR legislated and making that a topic from a government perspective as well is very important, because it brings the topic even to more people to consider. And we see that when countries start looking at EPR legislation, Canada's a great example here with provinces like British Columbia, but globally, Israel this year, or in 2013, just passed EPR legislation. So did Brazil. And every time we see a country that does this, suddenly the stakeholders in waste think more around how can we proactively solve this instead of just paying a tax and stepping back. So I think this is really exciting because it opens up way more opportunities around innovation in the world of waste. And I think that's the essence of this partnership that we hope to bring, with the sheer operational might of a company like Progressive Waste and the innovation of TerraCycle. That combination, I think, could really bring around a complete reimagining of what waste is really all about. And I'd love to, to be able to say that a decade from now, there is no such thing as a waste management company. It's just raw material companies that look at things as value.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a few from online. From Marissa, does this partnership indicate a larger focus from Progressive Waste on offering more recycling solutions beyond just the TerraCycle offerings?
Thanks. I mean, we've always been trying to push the frontier in terms of how can we offer more recycling solutions. We've been very innovative in some of the municipal bids that we put out there, and working some of our individual commercial customers. So, this is a start for sure in trying to handle more of these complicated products out there and some of this packaging. Quite honestly, I think it's a little premature to say where this is going to take us, but we're very excited about the opportunities. TerraCycle being worldwide versus ourselves being North American focused, we certainly see this as an opportunity to hopefully extend it into a lot more markets. One of the things we do like about TerraCycle is the fact that they have actually built a business model, and they've already got the economics figured out, and what we bring is the infrastructure and hopefully a lot more efficiency to try to reduce the cost of aggregating that material. So we think that this is a very highly synergistic partnership, and that's really what Progressive is all about, is looking for those opportunities as opposed to getting into incubator type of startups. That's not part of our strategy.
That's actually a great segue into a question from Eric Ryan. How will this partnership affect the U.S. market?
Well, I mean, we are in the U.S. From what we understand, talking to TerraCycle, they have not entered into a partnership at this time in terms of their U.S. operations. But I'll turn it over to Tom, where he can speak a little more about that.
Thank you, Joe. No, absolutely. I think one of the really interesting things in this partnership is really the innovation that's going to come out of it. And TerraCycle does operate in the United States. It's where our global headquarters are. Now, I'm personally Canadian, so it's always really nice to come up here to Toronto and be able to see some really exciting innovations that come out of Canada. I mean, was one case study. TerraCycle now recycles used cigarettes in 9 countries around the world, from Australia to Japan to a number of countries in Europe, including North America, all invented, though, here in Canada. And that's what I really hope will happen with our partnership with Progressive Waste, is to really invent some incredibly unique solutions and to prove those solutions. So it's not just about creating them, but it's making sure that they work and they resonate with the Canadian public, and then as soon as appropriate, bring them south so that we can replicate them in the United States and really add a big, almost an order of magnitude of scale onto it. And this is also, I think, really neat, is that Progressive Waste Solutions also is a large waste management company in the United States. So it really opens up the opportunity to make that replication really smooth once we have really created some good, strong, viable models here in Canada. So you're going to see the innovation start and focus on the Canadian marketplace. And then as they're proven and successful, we plan to bring them down to the United States, hopefully with Progressive Waste Solutions.
Also for you, Tom, from Joshua Sanders, is this TerraCycle's first partnership with a traditional waste management company?
This is not TerraCycle's first partnership with a traditional waste management company, but I would say out of all the partnerships we've done, it's the absolute most exciting. Just to give a little background, in Brazil, TerraCycle has done a similar partnership with one of Brazil's largest recycling companies. This is not a waste hauler, but a more traditional plastic recycling company that really has helped us bring innovations in solutions. For example, the concept of used chewing gum recycling wasn't developed in our headquarters in the United States. And mind you, that is the second most littered waste stream in the planet, costing cities tens of millions of dollars to clean up those little black dots that may appear on sidewalks. But you now will very likely see that solution here in Canada too, because it was developed through that partnership in Brazil. And this is that idea of really creating innovations on a global level. In Germany, Landbell, which is a large waste solutions company in that region, has also purchased a part of our German business and has brought some interesting innovations to us. The reason I am personally the most excited about the Progressive Waste partnership is because Progressive Waste brings a whole range of opportunities that each of these partners don't do. For example, in Brazil, it's just recycling, and Progressive Waste here is a major Canadian recycler in and of itself, but it's much more than that. The same in Germany. Landbell is one of the administrators of the Green Dot, which is the grandfather, if you will, of legislated EPR. And so we've learned quite a bit about that process there. And Progressive Waste Solutions here does that and even more. And I think what's really exciting is because of the sheer breadth of Progressive Waste Solutions and their excitement to work with us. It's one thing to be able to have a partnership, but it's another to be able to have the excitement from senior leadership inside Progressive Waste Solutions to create real changes. And I think that's the part that I'm the most personally thankful for, is that in working with Joe and his team, we can give you a call and have a great idea, and it actually is heard and resonates and then is executed. And that is rare in partnerships. Many times, companies make a financial investment and then just say, well, let's just keep doing everything normal. What is really exciting here is Canada's largest waste management company is saying, let's rethink with you how we look at waste. And I couldn't be more excited about that, and then especially bringing that, any innovations we derive here on a global basis.
And the final online question is from Andrew Abud. Is this TerraCycle Canada's first investment?
So I'll take that one as well. Yes. So TerraCycle Canada is fully owned by TerraCycle Global, and this is the first and only investment that TerraCycle Canada has done. And we do not contemplate doing any other investments in TerraCycle Canada, because for us, the real purpose of this investment is less the capital that comes from it, although that also helps fuel our operation. The most important aspect is that we get to work with the premier waste management solutions company in Canada, and with them rethink how waste is looked at. And if we can do that, that is going to bring some true change on a global basis. And so this is the only investment in TerraCycle Canada, and will be the only investment.
That's all from the online voters.
Wonderful. Any other questions from folks here?
I have just one more
Please.
follow-up, in case anyone's curious, what happens to used chewing gum in Brazil?
Okay, absolutely. Each type of waste, as you can imagine, has a unique heartbeat, if we just take a step back. Everything is very different. So I'll give you a few examples, but I'll pick some challenging ones. So used chewing gum. Used chewing gum, if you take a step back, isn't food, it's a rubberized polymer. And it turns out that you can mix used chewing gum at 35% and become packaging, which is aluminum combined with paper extract combined with different forms of plastic, at 65% once you remove the paper, and that can create an injection moldable plastic. Now there are some restrictions. It still smells minty fresh, so if that's a challenge, then that it's something to consider, and also there's certain color restrictions and so on. But now we can completely recycle used chewing gum, and now that innovation is something that we're hoping to bring up here to Canada. And I think this is the key: is that people, when they look at something like a litter issue, and cigarettes and chewing gum are the two biggest global litter issues. What we have found is that when there's just receptacles put out saying, please properly deposit your chewing gum here, or please properly deposit your cigarette butt there, litter rates decrease, but not at the same rates when it's the same container now with a recycling service attached to it. Because people get much more inspired around recycling material than they do about properly disposing material. One is more, let's not litter, the other is let's do something significantly better. And that's what we saw in Vancouver, that when we deployed our cigarette recycling units, it's another example of the type of collaboration Progressive Waste and TerraCycle will be bringing to Canada. The litter rates in Vancouver, according to data from the city, went down 99.25%. It's not a 100% reduction in cigarette litter, but it's probably as close as we'll get, and that's something to celebrate. And it doesn't matter what the waste stream is. You'll see this year solutions for used femme hygiene to be able to recycle something that complicated, all the way to razor blades, batteries, hospital waste, and then of course any form of packaging and product that is today non-recyclable.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Tom, and thank you, Joe, and thank you to everyone in the room and to everyone online for being with us today for our very exciting announcement. And we look forward to keeping you updated on what we hope to be many successful initiatives going forward. Thank you.